Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Valdemar versus Beasty, another game from the content creator preview of the AoE 4 Sultans Ascend DLC. We have Japanese here under the command of Valdemar to the left, and on the right side it is Beasty playing with the Ayyubids. The map that we are playing on is Gorge, which is a new map built into the game. You see, it's kind of an open alley between the two players with quite some forests on each flank, 3 sacred sites kind of concentrated towards the middle. But one of the things that is important to look at is the lack of safe gold that you start with. First of all, your starting gold mine is pretty far out as well, but you basically have no additional backups. So you're going to have to venture out of your base early on when you play this map. Now the Ayyubids, a variant civilization for the Abyssids, they do have a fairly standard Dark Age. By the time I release this video, I likely have another video out with Beasty playing the Ayyubids. We've talked a lot about the Ayyubids there, so I will probably limit my discussion of the Ayyubids a little bit here. But it's an Abbasid variant civilization. You will see a lot of things that you normally see from the Abbasids. Talk about 2 TC into Costly Age builds. The big difference is how they age up. You can choose between 2 options when you go up to each age with any of these wings. The 2 options are exclusive to each other, so it's always going to be a choice, but it gives you a lot of possible combinations, and all of these buffs are very meaningful. Talk about, let's say, 40% time discount on aging up, something that the Abbasids definitely would love to have. It's one of the biggest weaknesses of the Abbasid civilization, having to take too much time to go up to the next stage. But there are some other nice bonuses as well, like 3 villagers compared to 300 wood, and so on. On the other side, though, there is the Japanese, a civilization that does have this farmhouse building, which is a house and a mill at the same time. Somewhat surprising to see it being placed close to the gold mine. Speaking of which, there is the Forge, which is a blacksmith and a mining camp as well. Does have a unique melee attack line, which gives you 4 technologies, compared to the ordinary 3 technologies that other civs get, but this tech line also costs you stone. The age-up landmark is going to be the Kura storehouse here for Valdemar, a landmark that's going to spawn farms around your, around the landmark. If you cannot spawn more farms, you will get a lot of wood. Now, this is an awkward spot for this, because right now, this side is blocked over here by the forest, or at least it's partially blocked. This side is partially blocked by the berries, and the corner spot is going to be blocked by the TC. So you won't really get as many farms as you could possibly have for the storehouse. Anyway, once you start chopping down these trees, once you get rid of the berries, this is going to be a well set up storehouse. Looks like we are going to have the culture wing coming in here. You will get 2 dervishes. Now, dervishes allow you to collect relics. They're kind of like warrior monks in many ways, but they also have an area healing ability, something that could come into play. I actually forgot the meme name that someone actually made up for them, but there is some sort of a meme name for them, kind of related to hospitals, camels, and whatnot. Anyways, I will remember it one day. But dervishes, they are no joke. They are really good in combat healing. They can also pick up relics rather quickly and bring them home. Definitely one of the more valuable units that you get for the Ayyubids. Tatara already coming in here for the Japanese player. It's a Dark Age melee upgrade, so you already have this +1 attack, not something that you would get with any other civilization. Looks like we are going to have barracks coming out now for Valdemar. Now, I've cast a Japanese game between Calp and Corvinus before, and I've touched on some of the details of the Japanese here that make it a very viable feudal aggressive civilization. I think one of those things is that you do have the Kura storehouse, giving you all these farms. It means that you have a very steady supply of food and you don't have this awkward moment where you run out of sheep and berries and you suddenly have to invest a lot of wood into farms. You get these farms for free, so you never really lose aggressive momentum in feudal, and that's something that I would love to see Valdemar use in this game. In the meantime, Beast is going for the Desert Trader, which is a camel unit. Allows you to switch between bows and swords. When it's using a sword, it's like a camel rider. When it's using a bow, it's like a camel archer. And there's the dervish. Oh, look at this. This is a cheeky play here by Beasty. He actually does have the dervishes with the healing ability, so the scout is being healed up. Now, Scout doesn't have a terrific damage output, so it's not like this is threatening to Valdemar. But it's definitely an interesting way to play this for Beasty. And once he has the Desert Raider come in, this gets very annoying for Valdemar. The Japanese is a very infantry-focused civilization, though they do have reasonable cavalry as well. But especially in Feudal Age, they are heavily infantry-focused. So camel archers combined with dervishes will be extremely difficult to kill. You will most likely have to play archers here if you're Valdemar. See, right now it's on a bow, so it kind of acts as a camel archer, 7 bow damage at 4.5 tiles range. But you can also switch this into a melee attack, and in that case, it's going to act as a camel rider, kind of being that anti-cavalry type of a unit. Range coming in here for Valdemar. He needs to respond to this. But that's actually very good for Beasty. He already has a stable, so making a switch into Horseman isn't really a challenge. But once he gets the Castle Age, he can also go for the Camel Lancer, which is unique to the Ayyubids as well. Right now it's just Mass Spearman. There's a Scout as well coming in, but you see, this is what Beasty's playing on. This is why he went with the Dervishes. Even if he takes any damage on these Desert Raiders, they will be healed up instantly. And when Beasty gets to Castle Age, he can even use the Dervishes to pick up relics. Here come the Yumi Archers. Cheap, but they don't have a terrific damage output. You see 5 ranged attack at 5 tiles range. Problem here for Valdemar is that the Dervishes will just offset that. So he's gonna have to kill the Dervishes first. Gets a nice little close-up attack with the Spearman. Means that one of those Dervishes are damaged, but unfortunately for him, that's not enough. As long as you have 2 of these, they can heal each other. So with good micro, Beasty can keep this army alive endlessly. And I feel like this is actually a very intriguing way of playing Ayyubids. You have this aggressive army that's just a pain to clean up, as long as you have a good micro, of course. And behind this, he can just get away with some very greedy booms, because he's actually always the aggressor. See, Dervishes are being kept behind. The Spearman closing distance, you gotta be cautious with those Desert Raiders. They do not have a massive HP pool, only 120. So if you miss micro your troops and you run into Spearman, you can lose them quickly. For now, though, Beasty is doing a beautiful job over here with the camel archers. Barely any damage taken, but he's picking off Spearman out here. And as long as his micro is good here, he's never going to lose this army. That's the crazy thing. Archers now standing and fighting here. Yumi Archers are very weak when it comes to damage output, as long as you do not get this unique Bannerman to them. You're restricted on the amount of Bannermen that you can get, but each of these Bannermen will buff a certain type of a unit. If you want to go heavy on the Archers, you definitely need the Yumi Bannerman. Otherwise, these Archers are just way too scrappy. You see Beasty once again just pulling out just in time. Gets this Desert Raider away, means that it's going to get healed back up, and as he's microing away, he's using the rest of his troops to just kind of cover for that 1 damage unit. Dervishes also have this area healing ability, so when your entire army is hit, you can just heal it back up very quickly as well. This army is just so oppressive from Beasty. This is going to be a nightmare to deal with, to be honest, and now you see why 2 Dervishes initially is such a valuable combination here for the Ayyubids. It just means that this army is always going to be kept alive. And behind this, Beasty did not have to invest into more troops for the last 2 or 3 minutes. He invested into these troops initially, but he's barely producing army now. He's able to keep so much pressure on Valdemar with so little units. It's actually ridiculous. So behind this, all of the resources he's gathering, it goes into eco upgrades and this TC expansion, means that his economy is going to be a juggernaut behind this. Scout getting focused down over here. Finally, 1 Desert Raider might go down here. Spearman could close the distance, and Beasty needs to be cautious, though. As much as this force is useful for raiding, if you become the defender, you just die. Because this army is not meant to take straight-up fights. It needs to constantly retreat and fall back to heal. If you are being attacked, you're going to be in trouble, and I feel like this is the moment where Beasty is going to have to mix in some of his own troops. Maybe some archers on his own, maybe some horsemen, but he needs something that deals with this straight-up army, because right now, his army cannot stand and fight. The moment it does, it's going to be just picked apart by these archers, and now he's going to have to play defensive. Defensive tower coming in here. Valdemar is probably unaware of this DC expansion, and he doesn't really have scouting vision on the stone either. In fact, we can take a look at his POV. He didn't scout the stone for a while. He hasn't really seen this DC here either. I know POV can be bugged every once in a while, but his scout was back at home all the time. He doesn't have information about that second town center just yet. He might suspect it's there, but he doesn't have visual confirmation. In the meantime, we're seeing the Daimyo Manor upgrade come in. Means that this town center is going to be a lot tankier. And I think that's the upgrade that also gives you the Bannerman. Yeah, indeed. It increases the production cap of Bannerman. This is where you bring in your Yumi Bannerman, and once you have that, these Yumi Ashigaru will turn into beasts. This composition, very reminiscent of what you play with the English. Kind of this Longbow Spearman combo. Same thing, Spearman plus Yumi. And as I said, this is where I love this Japanese landmark, the Kura Storehouse. The fact that you're getting farms for free means that you never have to invest a lot of wood into a farm transition. So you always retain this momentum that you have. All of the resources that Valdemar is getting, it's going into archers and spearmen. It's like English on steroids. Beast is going to now flank around with the camels. Looks like the dervishes have been left back at home, but he isn't really making new troops. I wonder if he's going up to Castle Age, and indeed he is. He's going to go up with the reinforcement upgrade. Now, he used up the culture wing before for the dervishes, so he cannot just rush Castle Age here with the alternative option for Castle. As Valdemar is going to dive into this one, villagers are getting picked off. Tower is going to get torched down as well. Yumi Bannermen arriving means that you suddenly have a lot more damage output for these Yumi. Villagers popping out to repair, but that's going to be a short-lived effort. And oh, this is bad for Beasty. These villagers coming in from the flank means that now Valdemar knows about an expansion to the west, or to the east actually, and that's going to be painful for Beasty. Now Valdemar knows that there is something in here. Villagers are getting picked apart here. Beasty losing 10. All the villager lead he had is just gonna be gone. It's a costly attack here for Valdemar as well. He's diving deep under the town center, but he's realizing that Beasty's army is not here. Beasty's trying to punish this, but he's yet to start killing villagers, and in the meantime, so many villagers are falling for Beasty. So many villagers are going down here. Dervish is trying their best to keep these alive, but the casualties are just mounting too high. Counterattack is beautiful, though. So there will be some casualties on the side of Valdemar as well. He doesn't have a lot of troops back at home to defend against this. But Valdemar picking off so many villas, 25 villager kills. That is a massive amount of casualties for Beasty. He's still on 2 TCs, and he also managed to raid the food eco here. You see, you can actually garrison the Kura Storehouse, so some of the villagers are safe in there. Now some archers have been brought back, though. Beasty needs to disengage from this. This is a very expensive army. You don't want to lose it. But at the same time, he's still getting picked apart. Now he's down by 10 villagers compared to his counterpart. That's just painful. That's just painful for Beasty. And you see, he took a bit of a risk going into a very small amount of troops only. He also went to Castle Age at the most unfortunate time for him, just when he was about to get attacked. That's actually your position of weakness. Whenever you're aging, you're exposed to such aggressive attacks. But he's on 2 TCs still. So for Beasty, the next step is going to be just kind of getting back into this, using the dervishes to secure the relics to offset this eco deficit. He still has a lot of eco upgrades compared to Valdemar, who is heavily lacking these upgrades. But he still needs to find a way to deal with this army, so Mangonels, or more precisely Manjaks, which is the unique Mangonel for the Ayyubids, those have to contribute heavily here. Now, Desert Traders have been upgraded to Veterans. They do have 2 ranged armor now, but that's still kind of insufficient. Yumi Bannerman also helping a lot to these Yumi Archers now. Beasty, no Siege Workshop on the horizon just yet. He's going heavy into the Ghulams, though. Oh, Dervish actually yoinking the Relic here from just basically underneath this tower. That's a big pickup here there for Beasty. Yumi once again diving deep. Beasty is still struggling with numbers. He's down to just 8 troops. Some of them are high-quality troops like the Ghulam, and the Town Center Fire is helping a lot here as well. But Valdemar is doing a great job shutting down access to gold, and he's picking off these premium units as well. He himself lost a lot of troops, so he needs to be cautious. But then again, his eco is fairly well set up. 10 villagers lead, full farm transition complete. And he does have a standing army. This is where he can opt to go into Cost Ledge, and I think that's the plan for him. Beasty coming back with the Dervishes. He's going to have 3 relics. And there is the Manjak coming in. Or Manjanik, actually, beg your pardon. Will be spotted by Valdemar. He's going to try and stop this. He is diving deep, focusing down the expensive Camel Archers. And the Bannerman falls. That is a big problem here for Valdemar. So the banner gets dropped, but more importantly, the Bannerman is now gone. So there is no more buff coming in for the Yume Ashigaru. So the Manjanik has 2 options. You can go for the kinetic weapon, which is standard Mangonel ammunition. And then there is incendiary ammo as well. I haven't really seen incendiary ammo being used so far. So we'll have to see how that works out if Beasty opts to go for that. Here comes the floating gate as the Japanese landmark. This is the landmark I've seen more frequently used, although in the previous Japanese game I've cast, we've seen the alternative landmark, the Buddhist monk one. But basically the way it works is that you will get these little items called the Yorishiro, and you can use the Shinto priests to place them in buildings, and it's going to give unique buffs to these buildings. We're going to talk about that once we see them in action. Beasty coming in though with the Sultan's Tower. I love this tool. This is essentially a ram on triple steroids. It is able to fire arrows, has crazy ranged resistance. You can garrison 20 troops inside. It's awfully expensive, by the way. 650 wood, 350 gold. But boy, is this a scary thing to deal with. It's virtually invincible to arrow fires, so you need melee troops to take it down. There's the Yorishiro, by the way. Right there, that little box. I don't know if any of them have been garrisoned just yet. Samurai are now making an appearance as well. Definitely something that you want to see. They only have the Naginaras. They haven't gotten the Nodachi yet. But you see, especially given that Beast doesn't have a lot of infantry, the Nodachi is probably not a big thing because this is against infantry mostly. Where did the Yorishiro go? I wanted to see... Where was that dropped at? Oh, there's the fire projectiles, and this is kind of what Beasty wanted to do here. Fire projectiles do a lot of damage against buildings. This forge, it's getting taken down slow and steady, and it can also lit something on fire. You will see that in a moment. I kind of love this troop as well. Beasty coming in heavy with the siege. Tower of the Sultan, Manjanik on the way. On the other side, quite a few Yumis, some spearmen, and some samurai as well. I've kind of lost track of the Yorishiro. It might actually be in the siege workshop. Yeah, there it is. So it's a production bonus, beautiful mangonel shot over the forest. So right now, it's just to mass-produce Springles to deal with this siege threat. That's where the Yorishiro has been used up. More samurai making an appearance. No Onabugeisha over here, but given that your opponent has troops that deal well with light infantry, you probably don't want to go for Onabugeisha here. Samurai just make a lot more sense. Manjanik trying to get a volley out here. The rock's missing target gets sniped down by the Springald, and the Tower of the Sultan just has to flee. Naturally, this thing isn't the fastest in the world, so this is something that Valdemar could easily catch. But for now, Beasty managed to regain his eco lead. He's got all 5 relics, and he's got a villager lead of 5 as well. Needs to start mixing in Springolds, and that's exactly what he's doing. You can actually see that camel... I'm actually unsure if the camels can build this, but they might be able to for the Ayyubids. It seems like they are. Let's talk about the military wing, though, because Beasty is getting some quote-unquote reinforcements over here. So he's getting some extra troops on the field thanks to the option that he went for his Castle Age. He's now actually crapping the Sacred Site here on the northern side. He's got 5 relics as well. Most of his gold income is actually coming from the relics and the Sacred Sites. But this is a scary force. Yume Ashigaru also being buffed by a Bannerman. Speaking of which, the banner eventually disappears from here. Some more Springolds coming in here. You will get another Yorishiro very soon. And that's where you probably want to place it into maybe a Rax. There is already one in the range, once again giving production speed. So it's like, it's kind of like Chinese supervision, but it's inside the building, so it's not like you can just snipe the unit that's supervising it. Mangonel is now being mixed in as well. Defensive tower on the front here for Beasty. Things are slowing down. He's actually digging some trenches, getting some walls going. Walls are actually now snapping to forests, which kind of has this weird side effect of just snapping to these random trees. I don't like that. We'll have to see if the devs change it, though. Looks like we are going to have some Onamusha come in now for Valdemar. A unit that I really love. Kind of the crossbow equivalent of the Japanese, but it's a mounted cav archer. So not only do you have that movement speed with a great base attack, you have that anti-armor power as well. I feel like it's one of the most effective units that you can get in Constellation. It's definitely higher value than a standard crossbowman is, let's say. And it's not even that expensive, to be honest. The standard crossbow is like 80-40. This one is 80-60, so this is a very good value Japanese unit here. Beasty's done with the walls. Looks like Valdemar will try to just penetrate these walls to the north. Beasty is still making towers of the Sultan. Now, this might look like a meme unit, but I can tell you it is not. As long as you have an army to escort it, it is a terrifying unit. Once it starts rolling into your base and you don't have the troops to destroy it with, you are done. This is one of those troops where if you start rolling towards the enemy base and your soldiers are just fighting the enemy soldiers, you can level half of their base by the time they clean this up. They might even have the numbers advantage, but by the time they clean this up, it's going to be too late. So 3, 4, 5 of these towers, these are terrifying. Springald's getting some nice hits though. And that's definitely the kryptonite here for these towers. That's why Beasty is focusing on his own Springolds as well. See, beautiful wall is out there. Tower of the Sultan getting a hit, but still intact. Looks like a new Yorishiro has been placed as well. Gold miners are out for Valdemar, something that he's going to have to address. And look at this. Beasty's actually yoinking the gold from the opponent's side, also walling in the villas to the north. Will be just a little too late. Samurai and the Onamusha make it to the corner. Beasty's food eco is going to be exposed over here. You see, Onamusha does have 12 base attack. And that is without significant upgrades, I think. Actually, you do have the +2 there, but anyway, that is the base attack, and then you get your buff against the heavies. Nice low angle here for Valdemar, picking off a couple of these Springolds. He kind of needs to do something now because Beasty has a massive eco lead. Springolds will trade fire, but once the Springolds are gone for Valdemar, it means that these towers really have no match on the battlefield. Springolds will be gone on both sides, but the towers can now reign supreme. And you see, good luck dealing with these. These archers are about to get massacred. You need melee troops to deal with these, and melee troops are basically nowhere to be found over here for Valdemar. He has a handful of samurai, but the crossbows are doing a great job picking them off, and this is a very cost-effective engagement here for Beasty. Needs to be cautious not to get these torched down, though. These are super expensive. Beasty lacking numbers, though. He doesn't really have the support troops anymore to help these units out, and once the samurai close in, they can torch these down pretty quickly. I feel like Beasty needed some more crossbows to deal with the samurai. Now he's retreating, slowly picking away at the samurai, but reinforcements are coming in for Valdemar. And look at this. Tower of the Sultan now on fire. It's kind of smoking. I love these animations. I feel like the devs did such a good job with this unit. It might look like a meme unit, but it's actually fairly usable. And everything about it just looks great. The animations, the way it moves, I love it. I'm a big fanboy of Tower of the Sultan, if you haven't yet guessed. Beasty's gonna have to fall all the way back. Tower with the Springold emplacement and fortifications will deter Valdemar from pushing deeper. Somehow a samurai made it to the back of Beasty's base. Villagers will just stand and fight. And this guy feels a little confused, just spinning around non-stop with that Nagimara. Unfortunately, you don't do AoE damage spinning around like that. So eventually he's going to get cleaned up. Quite a few villagers get killed in the process, though. Beasty lost 40 in this game already. Still have a respectable lead, though, because Valdemar is still on just 1 TC. He's got Yorishiro now in the barracks as well, and that accelerates production quite a bit, you see. Only 8 seconds to train a Samurai? That's no joke. Samurai don't actually have a Bannerman, it's just a Yumi Bannerman to buff the archers. Samurai don't have any buff on them right now. Beasty still very low on army count. This food eco is kind of scrappy. He had to abandon the food here to the north, and he just cannot really afford many troops right now. He still has the towers, that is for sure, but when the Springbolts start rolling in, these towers will get picked off in a second. Tower now gets taken down. Beasty could use some more siege weapons, some Mangonels, some Springbolts. Mangonels could kind of do this crowd control job, but he also needs something that defends those Mangonels from the Springbolts. Beasty completed a farm transition, and now he's on 3 TCs as well, so his economy is light years ahead compared to Valdemar's, but he only has 5 troops on the field. Granted, 2 of those are towers, but still, his army feels rather lackluster, and I feel like Valdemar can punish that right now. Samurai will dive deep. They also have deflective armor. Means that the first damage done against them in this fight is essentially going to be cancelled. Yumi will dive deep as well. Samurai closing distance to deal with the Springbolts, and they will just fight the Gulam here one-on-one. And looks like Beasty is just going to tap out of this one. He tried the towers, but I think it really came down to that initial push against his eco where he lost so many villagers. We've seen a very intriguing way of playing Ayyubids by Beasty. I think this works a lot better against a civilization that also wants to eco boom. Beasty was able to punish a lot with the initial camels and dervishes, but eventually got overwhelmed by this very English-esque spearman plus archer combination. If he played this against, let's say, Abbasids, or let's say HRE, civilizations that aren't really building on a lot of feudal age aggression, I think this build would have worked a lot better for Beasty. On the other side, we've seen a slow start from Valdemar, but once he got through that initial aggression, he managed to start leveraging the power of the Japanese, the Kura storehouse, giving him a consistent food supply. Once he upgraded his town center, he started getting the Bannerman out, buffing the Yumi, and just played a very similar game to how you would play English. Heavy in the spears, heavy in the archers, all-out aggression, and slowly building those forces up. Japanese do gain a lot of power as the game goes on, and once he really unlocks the Yorishiro, once he unlocks that eco power, starts mixing in the Samurai, this army is pretty tough to stop. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this game. If you did, I greatly appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. It helps me greatly, and it also means that you will get notified about upcoming videos as well, like some other costs here in the content creator preview of Sultans Ascend. If you enjoy this, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.